They say every spy leaves a shadow, a whisper in a hallway, a name on a file. But what if one didn't? What if there was a man so deeply erased that even history forgot to write him down? This is the story of Edward Lang, the spy who never existed. It begins in 1983 under a pale winter sky over Berlin. An encrypted transmission hit the airwaves, repeating one name: Edward Lang. Intelligence agencies from both sides went digging. No record, no birth certificate, not a single trace of a man by that name. And yet, stories began to surface. A figure seen outside embassies at dawn. A man in a gray coat slipping through border checkpoints. A signature appearing on documents no one remembered signing. He left no trail, only aftermath. Wherever Lang appeared, something vanished. A briefcase, a scientist, a secret. Then came the photograph. Delivered anonymously to a London newsroom. A man, mid-30s, staring directly into the lens. Calm, composed. The kind of face you could pass on the street and never notice. No note, no sender. Only one line written on the back. He was never here. Investigators traced the image to East Berlin. But the building behind him had been demolished years before. It was as if the photograph was taken in a place that had already been erased. British intelligence called him a phantom asset. The CIA labeled him a statistical ghost. Some believed Lang was a myth, a collective hallucination born from Cold War paranoia. But others found hints of something darker. Declassified fragments mention Project Null, an experiment to create operatives without origin, agents with no paper trail, no family, built entirely from fabricated fragments of other lives. A voice from one file, a photo from another. A name chosen because it meant nothing. If that's true, then Edward Lang wasn't born. He was manufactured, a human illusion programmed to move between worlds. But the illusion began to think for itself. Reports say Lang started ignoring orders, altering missions, contacting names that didn't exist. He began asking who he really was. And then he disappeared. No extraction, no trace. Just a wristwatch, stopped at 11:47, found on a Prague train seat. The case was closed. Officially, there was no Edward Lang. But years later, he reappeared. Not in person, but in fragments. A passport bearing his face surfaced in a Swedish archive. A matching fingerprint pinged in a Geneva airport. A voice file whispering the same code that started it all. It was as if Lang was haunting the very system that made him. A digital ghost slipping between the cracks of reality. One retired agent said, he wasn't a spy. He was a reflection. He showed us what happens when identity becomes an instrument, and maybe that's why his story feels more relevant now than ever. Because today we live in the age of invisible people, synthetic identities, deep fakes, AI faces, digital phantoms engineered to manipulate truth. Edward Lang might have been the first, but he won't be the last. Somewhere buried in a classified archive, his name still flickers